So this week's episode is a little bit, I say a little bit different. It's not really, but possibly a bit shorter than the last few. And it's all about how you um, get yourself out of a rut or a period of low self-esteem, negative mood or mindset, and just all around kind of a bad place. I don't want to kind of call it depression or label it, but it's those kind of things where you're waking up every day and you're wondering what's the point of everything, and um, you might have a job and you might not just be very, but autopilot. You don't really care about anything. You're very indifferent about lots of things. And it's a cycle. Slowly but surely, you decide, oh, I don't want to go out, see some friends or family, and then the next time an event comes around, you've not done all that much, and you feel, particularly I did, oh, I don't feel comfortable with these people. I don't know what to say myself. I don't have the small talk conversations of how you're doing, all these things, 'cause I'm not happy with my job or my life or my position. So talk about those sorts of situations. I think we're all familiar with. Either we've been through to a certain degree, or certainly people we know around us have been through. And the challenge is to recognize those periods of time. And importantly, how do you turn that around to become enthused, become energetic, to be the antithesis, the opposite of the low mood, and to be able to get to a place where you're passionate, you've got purpose, and you persevere. As I've explained in the previous video, for me, there's a simple equation that's passion plus purpose plus perseverance equals progress. And we're all around, whether you think it's a spiritual situation why we're here, or it's more of a Darwinistic view. We all want to progress. We all want to create a better future for ourselves, a better tomorrow than today, better today than yesterday, and a better future for our children and grandchildren, etc. And that's pretty much um, a widely held view across the whole of society. There are some exceptions, but it's pretty much the way it is. Um, and so I was thinking back as to what, for me, how I managed to get myself to the position I'm in today, where I'm running a multinational company, um, analogy, and all these different things I'm doing, and the podcast and the YouTube that I'm doing, and even these um, kind of vlogs, the burning issues that I do once a week. And I was searching for the answer as to when I came out of hospital. I had a maybe 3 to 6 month period of just a real low, a real kind of unsure of what to do, and that social anxiety and all those aforementioned challenges. I was trying to think what it was that was the catalyst that propelled me into the life I'm in now. I couldn't think for a while. I didn't really know, and I was like, "There's got to be something. You don't just go from that to where I am now. It's with nothing." And then it dawned on me that I, at that point, was seeing, let's call him a therapist. It's not quite a therapist, but someone I'd speak to that's not a family member or a friend, just an objective point of view, who's importantly been through the situation that I have as well, in regards to mental health. And it got to a point where I was waking up at midday, just for reference, like 4 or 20 to 5 right now. So I wake up early right, these days, but that's just a reference. So I wake up at midday, I'd be lethargic, I'd lounge around on the couch. I didn't really watch much TV, but I just very self-loathing. I remember feeling a real burden on society, on my parents, where I was living at the time, and all these things. And he said to me, "Look, Charles, like, I remember going to meet him for a coffee once, and we'd meet once a week. And I just was, this is what I was like. I couldn't look at him. I was just, looking around. I couldn't really say much. I was very negative, very miserable, very upset. I couldn't motivate myself to do anything, whether it be lose some weight or whatever the case may be." And he said to me, "Okay, Charles, I think you need to get a part-time job." I said, "Okay." He says, "Well, I think you should be, or go and be a barista or a waiter or something like that, where you've got interaction, you can build back your confidence, and importantly, you've got some purpose from the day. So me being me as a kind of entrepreneurial character, someone that has worked with people in the past, but doesn't really enjoy it. To be honest with you, nothing wrong with it. It's just not for my sort of character. I think I went home, and then I'm not quite sure the period of time. It couldn't have been long, a few days of maximum. And I was like, no, I'm not taking a job as a barista, as a waiter at this point in my life. I've done too many things. I've been successful in so many different ways. I'm not allowing myself to what I thought at the time, and it's not the correct view now, but it was at the time the view I had. That was taking a massive step backwards. And if anything, I felt that would do my confidence even more of a damaging effects, because I would think to myself, well, I'm back to being like a 15-year-old or 14-year-old for me. And so that one sentence was enough to give me a kick up the proverbial and go, you know what? I need to do something. And so I started to put all my time and energy into allergy. I put hours and hours and hours. And so that it was at first, so that when the question was asked by this fellow, what have you done this week? What have you done today? I had stuff to say. And so I'm not suggesting, so don't get me wrong here, that part-time jobs are wrong, that being a barista, a waiter, waitress, all these wrong, not at all. What I'm saying is, for me personally, that was the catalyst that said, I could go one or two ways here. I can go down that route, or I can use that, because I really don't want to do that, and I can use that energy and push it as rocket fuel and pour it in something that I do want to do. And in this case, it was allergy. But in someone else's case, it might be training for a marathon. It might be saving up some money. It might be learning to cook, to dance, or whatever. So that's today's message: is find your fuel. Turn the negative to a positive. Tony Robbins, I've just been reading a bit about in his book. It's not really about mindset all that much, but there's a bit about mindset called Money Master the Game. Pretty interesting book, quite heavy, quite interesting. And he says that there's three elements to creating long-lasting, effective change. The first of those is a strategy. So it's looking at somebody that has achieved something close to what you want to achieve. So say it's weight loss. They've lost weight over a period of time and they've kept it off for a 10-year period, for example. Probably worth asking that person how they've done it. What can they tell you? What diets didn't work for them? Now, my view on this strategy piece is there's never one blueprint to follow, and that's that. You have to, it's like an art form. If you follow Picasso stroke for stroke, you probably wouldn't produce the sort of work he produced. But you can study it and learn from it and improve your own strategy. So take that with a pinch of salt. The second point he makes is what I was talking about here today a little bit, is story. A story or narrative. We can all sit and tell ourselves that coronavirus was a terrible situation, which of course it was. It put me out of work. It did this, did that, did the other. And then I gained 2 stone, and I did this and I did that, I watched Netflix and whatever. And similarly, if you have a diagnosis of mental health or a physical illness or something of this nature, or your upbringing was particularly challenging or whatever, there are a couple of different ways you can take it, or 2 different ways really. One is you can feel really hard done to, have a chip on your shoulder and just have what's called a limiting belief that says, I'll only ever get here because I'm from this background, I'm from this religion, I'm this, that, and the other. Or you can go, you know what? Like, I'm going to, all those things that happen have made me who I am today. And yes, there's some really bad things in there, there's some really good things in there. But again, I'm going to use it as my fuel to prove to others around me, my kids, my grandkids, and those around me, that what I want to aspire to do is possible. And I will show them with my actions and the results that I achieve. And then the final thing that he talks about is strategy, story, and state. And state is what we've also talked about a bit in this video, is simply mindset. How do you prime yourself, as it's called, to a position where you're able to tell yourself that story we mentioned, and then to execute the strategy that we mentioned before. So those are the key points that Tony Robbins makes, and I think they're very valuable. Have a great rest of your day, and yeah, really truthfully find your fuel. And if you need any help with that, you can drop me a line at founder@allergy.co.uk. That's ALLERGI, and I'm more than happy to jump on a Zoom call or whatever to try and help you. And if I can, great. And if not, I'll be able to signpost you to a book that might be useful, or a film or something. But I'll certainly do my best. Have a great day, and see you next week.